Sometimes there's a mystery detectives cannot solve. Their problems only multiply, solutions just evolve. And then comes the great divide that splits things all apart. Then you need the master, a man with math and heart. He's Abacus the Great, he'll clear up all suspicion. He'll distribute, regroup, solve for X, cause he's a math magician. Add, subtract, multiply, divide, all things which he excels. Polygons, fractions, a man of many spells. The steps are simple, one by one, the number's infinite. For help in math, both big and small, call Abacus the Great!
Hey there, apprentices! I've got something cool planned for you guys this week, but I better get right to it before Abacus gets here. So without any further ado, here is Helix the Great! How does a child, student, kid in a class know how to do any add or subtract all of forgotten math? If there's no teacher, they're absent-minded, amnesic, forgetful. Can they grow up to be a scholar? The $1,000,000 bits of math to remember are a lot easier and a lot more simple than you might think. So give yourself some credit. There's 4. We'll discuss 3 in this lesson. They're called the properties, and they'll help you every day through all the math as you struggle through all your problems. Inside you always knew there was something to help you out. It will help you move, regroup, and look into a mirror. The first is commutative, and it will help you move all the numbers around, left to the right. If you take an expression like 5 times 3, you'll make a new equation by flipping 3 times 5. Where the words all around, they said associative, man. Regrouping all the numbers in the different ways that you can. With 3 by 5 by 8, do the 3 times 5 first. Or do 5 times 8 times 3. What's the last one? Identity property. You add a 0 and you get the same. Or you can multiply by number 1. The answer's the same. The product's the same. So what do you guys think?
Well, I thought it was really good.
What? When did you get here?
About a minute ago. I thought it was amazing. So I guess this means I'm teaching about the properties this week?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. All right, so there are a total of 4 mathematical properties we are going to discuss. 3 of them are in this episode: commutative, associative, and identity. The 4th one, the distributive property, we're going to talk about in the next episode. Let's get to it. Commutative property. The first thing I want you to think about is, what is the root of that word? Root meaning, where does that word commutative come from? The root of commutative is the word commute. Now, if you think about the word commute, for me at least, I generally think about my commute to work. Now, what am I doing when I'm commuting to work? I'm driving from my house to my place of work. For me, from my house to my school where I teach. So I am traveling. When it comes to numbers, that word commute in commutative means the same thing. It means those numbers can travel. So let's take an expression like 5 multiply 3. The commutative property tells us that 5 multiply 3 can travel or switch places. So our original expression of 5 times 3, which equals 15, would be equal to 3 multiply 5, which is also 15. The commutative property works with addition as well. If you look at the expression there, 6 plus 3 equals 9, that is equivalent to 3 plus 6, which also equals 9. So commutative has that root word of commute, which means that the numbers can travel. The next one is associative property. What is the root of the word associative? Okay, think about it. Now, the word associative has the root of associate. And that word associate, to me, means the people that I generally go about my day with. Sometimes my associates might be my coworkers, but we're going to specifically use the word friends to help us remember what the word associate means. Now let's take a look at an expression. Now, our commutative property tells us that we can do those in whatever order we want. I could do 5 multiply 3 multiply 8. I could do 3 multiply 8 multiply 5, or I could do 5 multiply 8 multiply 3. The associative property takes that a step further by putting them into groups. So if I take that 5 multiply 3 multiply 8 to specify which one I want you to do first, I'm going to put parentheses around it. Now those parentheses tell me to do the 5 multiply 3 first, and 5 multiply 3 is 15. If I then take that 15 multiply 8, I get 120. Now let's say that little 3 came home and asked his mom if he could play with both friends 5 and 8, and mom said no. And because little 3 had played with 5 today, he was going to play with 8 tomorrow. That expression might look something like this. So in this scenario, I'm going to do the 3 multiply 8 first, which is 24. Now 24 multiply 5, you take that 20 multiply 5 is 100, 4 multiply 5 is 20, so that gives you the same 120. Now again, the associative property also works with addition. 6 add 2 add 5. If I do the 6 add 2 first, I get 8. 8 add 5 is 13. Or if I do the 2 add 5 first, I get 7. And 6 add 7 is that 13 again. The last property we're going to talk about in this episode is identity. Now, identity, what does that word mean to you? Think about it. The word identity means who you are. Now, this can be represented by the word mirror. So mirror is going to be our easier word to help us remember this. Now, if you think about that mirror, I'm going to introduce you to a mirror number for addition and subtraction and a mirror number for multiplication and division. That is, this number, if you take a number, say 5, and it looks in the mirror, it's going to see 5 because 5 is who 5 is. Now, what number do you know that I can add to 5 and still get 5? Our mirror number for addition and subtraction is 0. 5 add 0 is 5. So that 0 acts like a mirror. The 5 looks at the 0 and it sees itself, 5. The 3 looks at the 0 and it sees itself, 3. Okay, so I've got 5 add 0 equals 5, or 3 subtract 0 equals 3. Now think about multiplication. If I take the number, say 8, what do I multiply 8 by that still gives me 8? Think about it. My mirror number for multiplication and division is 1. 8 multiply 1 still gives me 8. 2 divided by 1 still gives me 2. For the most part, this sums up our 3 properties. The commutative property, remember, meant to travel. 5 multiply 3 is 15, or 3 multiply 5 is still 15. Those numbers can switch places, and my answer is still the same. Associate is who you deal with on a daily basis, which for you as students is your friends. 5 hangs out with 3 on one day, and then he hangs out with 8 the next day. 3 times 5 was 15. 15 times 8 is 120. Or 5 times 8 is 40. And 40 times 3 is still 120. And then the final one is the identity property, which means that mirror. Who is that number? For addition and subtraction, our mirror number is 0. 3 add 0 is 3. 5 subtract 0 is 5. And for multiplication and division, our mirror number is 1. 6 times 1 is 6, or 2 divided by 1 is still 2. These are your 3 properties. Again, we will do distributive in the next episode. How about we take it to our student question of the week? Our question this week comes from Apprentice Braden. Go for it, Braden.
If Runa buries 300 bones a day and uncovers 200 a day, how many bones will be buried in a week? And a week is 7 days, not 5.
For starters, we need to figure out how many she buries and keeps buried in a day. She buries 300, but then uncovers 200. So uncovers. What operation is going to be represented by uncovers? It's going to be subtraction. So she buries 300 in a day and then uncovers 200 in a day. How many does she bury in a day? Well, 3 subtract 2, or 300 subtract 200, is going to leave us 100. So she leaves a total of 100 bones buried in one day. But what about 7 days? I'm going to take that 7 and I'm going to multiply it by 100 to figure out how many she unburies in a week, or how many she buries in a week. So I'm going to take that 100 that she buries in a day, and I'm going to multiply that by 7 for each day of the week: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if I have 107 times, that's going to be 700. If she's burying 300 a day and uncovering 200 a day in a week, she will have still kept 700 bones buried. A lot of bones, Braden. Your dog is pretty active. Thanks for that question. Our magic trick this week actually comes from one of you guys. Apprentice Annika sends us this email. Hey Abacus, I have a magic trick for you. 10 plus 9 equals 19, right? Well, yeah. Well, I can prove to you that 10 plus 9 equals 21. Take a look at the picture I'm sending. Boom! Like you ask, my math is magical. Sincerely, Annika. Okay, let's jump into the computer screen there behind me, zoom that up, and have you take a look at it with me. So 10 plus 9 equals 21. It looks like she split apart the 5 multiply 2 and the 3 multiply 3. It looks like she's then using the commutative property to have the 2 and 3 switch spots. So we now have 5 multiply 3 and 2 multiply 3, which is 15 and 6. If you add those together, you get 21. Huh, that is magical, Annika. Now what I'm going to ask of you, my other apprentices, this is beautiful for magic, but in the practical math world, this wouldn't quite work. Do you know why? Go to the Flipgrid, flipgrid.com/abacusthegreat. Use the code MATH and record me a video telling me why this would not actually work in the practical mathematical world, but why it is amazing for the mathemagical world. Hit me up on Flipgrid and let me know what you think. I may show one of your videos in the next episode. That's it for this episode on the mathematical properties. We have one more we'll discuss next time, the distributive property. Like always, until then, make sure your math is magical. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you liked what you saw, make sure you click that like button down below. If you want to keep up on future episodes, be sure to click subscribe. I learned something this week. Because these videos are being made for kids, you can't comment. So there is no comment section down below. I'm sorry for the last episodes where I told you to comment and you couldn't. But if you do want to talk to me, there's two different ways that you can. First off, you can email me at abacusthegreat2020@gmail.com. If you would like to record your very own question to ask Abacus and have him answer on the air, then go to flipgrid.com/abacusthegreat. From there, you're going to use the code MATH. Get into the Flipgrid and start recording. We'll see you guys next time.